Sacco and Felix, New York and New Jersey's premier attorneys at law. Their team brings decades of experience across a wide range of practice areas. Whatever life brings, they're your legal team. From everyday matters to complex cases, they've got you covered with the experience you need and the results you want. Because when life gets complicated, they make it simple. SaccoFilas.com. SACCOFILLAS.com. 2 C's, 2 L's.
Welcome to the 5 o'clock show. It's time for Common Sense. Now, it's Katz and Cosby with John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, bringing common sense to the world. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Breaking news, WABC.
Well, we have our hands full. We have so much breaking news, we don't know where to begin.
There's a lot on Iran, John, maybe deal or no deal. And then also...
I mean, the stock market was up 500 points, 600 points today.
It's skyrocketed.
The S&P is up.
Yep.
The price of gasoline is down. I mean, what else can you ask for?
Well, I guess you could ask for comments from former President Barack Obama, Judge Weinberg. He came out and he praised Mondani, saying he's an extraordinary talent.
And the future of the Democratic Party. I mean, really, give me a break, Barack.
Wait, it gets worse. Did you see what he also said? He also said that attorneys general, and he said in the Republican side, should not be used to go after opponents. Hello?
He used his IRS against his opponents. He used the Justice Department against his opponents. He set up the whole Russia collusion fiasco. Please, give me a break.
And it's spoken by Judge Richard Weinberg.
Yeah, exactly.
The Supreme Court judge.
And a common sense Democrat.
And a common sense Democrat.
I mean, come on. The fact that he, you look at what Biden did. You look at all the, Merrick Garland. Are you kidding me?
We have a common sense Republican here. We
do. We have a charming one.
Deputy mayor under Rudy Giuliani, one of the best mayors New York has ever had. How is your old boss? Have you talked to him?
I haven't tried to talk to him. I've been communicating through the family. So that's how I've been getting my information. I figured there'd be enough time because I'm supposed to be doing a documentary with him next month. So hopefully we'll spend some time together then.
Well, good. He sounds like he's doing a lot better.
Yes,
I heard he was cracking jokes.
Yeah, he was cracking jokes.
So
okay, I understand KT's on the shoot.
Absolutely. Let's go to breaking news with her.
Breaking news, WABC.
And joining us now is former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump, KT McFarland. And KT, President Trump says there's no deadline, but he says it will happen. He's talking about a deal. And he says if they don't do a deal, the bombing will really start. What's ahead?
I think they have the outlines of a deal, and this is how President Trump likes to negotiate. He doesn't do every little, dot and comma. He gets a general agreement. This is what he did with the Gaza peace plan. He gets a general outline of an agreement and then lets Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff hammer out the final details. But in this case, the devil is in the details because the number of things, if Iran does agree to this 14-point plan, so one point, the main point is that they don't do any enrichment of uranium. And then after 15, 20 years, they could maybe enrich it, but it would be to a very low level. And that all the uranium that they have, the already enriched uranium, would have to leave the country. So it all sounds terrific, but you have to verify it. I mean, we can't just take anybody's word for it because we know in the past Iran just cheats. They say one thing, they do something else. So the key will be, is there what's called snap inspections? Anytime, any place. No advance notice. We can go anywhere in the country and check and see if they're abiding by the agreement.
I mean, I've heard that before, but Iran said, that's a restricted zone. You can't go there.
Well, then no deal.
No, but it's, after the deal is signed, they don't plan to obey it.
Exactly.
I mean, look at the history,
exactly.
KT. I mean, they've never
obeyed it.
Right. And also, KT, I have a question for you. And we were talking about this before, too, that part of this deal also talks about allowing a minimal level of enrichment. If there's anybody out there who really thinks they want it for nuclear energy and not for a nuclear weapon, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. So why would you open that door?
I mean, to me, this is not an ideal deal. They should have no enrichment. They should, if they want to have nuclear energy, fine. They can do what everybody else in the world does, which is buy enriched uranium from another country, the fuel rods from Russia, from France. A number of countries are in the business. But I think part of Trump's problem right now is that who's in charge in Iran? We're not sure. Even if they do come to an agreement, can anybody enforce it? I'm hoping that what's happening right as we're speaking is that the Iranian foreign minister is in Beijing meeting with the Chinese foreign minister. I'm assuming the Chinese foreign minister is reading the Riot Act, saying, come to a deal. We don't really care about your nuclear weapons, Iran. What we care about is your oil. And what we care about is Saudi oil. And what we care about is UAE oil. And as long as the strait is closed and the blockade is in place, we are not getting probably close to 50% of the oil, the imported oil that we need.
Rudy Washington.
Well, KT, I'm in the camp of you just can't believe anything you're being told by these folks. And I'm surprised we have not already identified the IRG that's causing these problems in these little speedboats and have not taken them out. I'm scratching my head. I'm missing something in the puzzle here. But I also know that unless we get the price of oil down before driving season, below $4, preferably closer to $3, we're going to have a problem because people are buying the nonsense that the general media puts out. I mean, we now have 2 socialist mayors, one New York, one Seattle. We have a guy running.
How about Los Angeles?
Yeah, Los Angeles. We got a guy running.
Coast to coast.
Where's that Maine that has a swastika on his chest?
Yeah, that's Maine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so we got
By the
crazy.
way, not just any swastika.
The SS swastika.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we got crazy out here and people buying it. So, I'm on the street and I hear a lot of people, it's gas and food. People are not tuned into the geopolitical picture. Gas and food. That's all they're concerned about.
Well, that's the big question, gas and food. And you don't get the cheaper gas and you don't get the cheaper food unless you get a deal. And maybe it's not going to be an ideal deal, but it's better than no deal.
Well, KT, I love you, but can I file a dissenting opinion?
Yes, you're a judge.
And I'll sign on to that, Judge.
Right. Listen, no deal is better than a bad deal. The fact of the matter is Obama gave us a bad deal. He's the one who put us in this position, and then Biden reinforced it by doing what he did and giving them more money and letting them off the hook. We cannot let these people off the hook. I'm in the camp with Professor Alan Dershowitz, which is if we don't have regime change, these people will be coming back at us and back at us and back at us, and their agenda is to destroy America and Western civilization. We have to face that. And our countrymen better wake up. It's more important that we fight this existential threat than a couple of bucks on the gas. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that President Trump is in a really hard position because he's got to thread that needle. You're absolutely right. You don't trust these guys. They'll say anything. They won't abide by. They have no honor in the sense of a deal. And the United States has never been in a stronger position than we are right now, and Iran has never been in a weaker position. I was, in fact, not terribly impressed with the 14 points, but maybe there's something I don't understand. Maybe there's a regime change in the way. I just don't know. I'm surprised that President Trump would treat this as a great success unless there's other stuff that we don't understand.
KT, on the last note, because we have to go to another guest, on the last note is, I think what the Iranians are doing, stall, and hope the Democrats get control of the Congress
Completely.
6 months from now.
Completely, and that's why I think President Trump has to be very serious about not dropping the blockade. And also, if the Iranians try to do what the Iranians always try to do, go back to the military option.
And I want all our listeners to hear me. I was a Democrat at one time, but right now this Democratic Party is not on the American side. And they stall, and then they're going to vote for Iran. I mean, it's ridiculous. KT, we love you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you guys, let's go to breaking news. Our guest now was at the White House yesterday.
Breaking news, WABC.
And joining us now is Bruce Blakeman, who is running, of course, for governor of New York, the GOP nominee there.
And yesterday, he had a meeting with the President of the United States.
It doesn't get any better, right, John?
Nope.
So, Bruce, fill us in.
Did he give you one of those medals he gives out at the Oval Office?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, first of all, Rita, John, Judge, thank you so much. I'm sitting at the center of power right now in Albany. It's a club/restaurant called Le Serre, where I'm going to host a party for our Republican legislators. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Is that the Todd Shapiro Club?
That is the Todd Shapiro Club.
Ah, very good. We love Todd.
Bruce, you left me off.
The White House to Le Serre, so we're only hitting the powerhouse places.
And fill us in on the Oval Office, fill us in on the White House, and what did President Trump say? I know he's a big supporter of yours, Bruce.
Well, first of all, President Trump was very, very gracious with his time. We spent 90 minutes in the Oval Office.
That's a lot of time.
That is.
Yeah, and we talked about a wide range of issues. I was joined EPA director, former congressman, great American patriot, military officer.
You must be talking about Lee Zeldin.
That's the man.
That's the man.
See, I guessed it. He gave me the
he gave
resume.
the clues.
You give the resume, you get the guy.
The clues.
Stopped by. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stopped by. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon. So we got to talk about a lot of different things with a lot of important people, but the president was great. We had a wide-ranging conversation about the economic failure of New York State, number 41 out of 50 states in economic development. The fact that we're the most overtaxed, overregulated state in America. The fact that...
Did you tell him you haven't seen anything yet? Because it's going to be taxed even more.
Yeah, this is only the beginning, Bruce.
And by the way, Kathy Hochul now says that she's going to do this tax and this tax, but she's not going to do that. She's going to do every tax because that's what she does. If she gets through this election and wins, which she's not, because I am going to win, I will be the governor on January 1st. If she were to win, God forbid, she'd do a U-turn just like a New York cab driver. And basically what she did with congestion pricing. That's her history. She's not trustworthy. You can't believe what she says. And she needs to raise a tremendous amount of money. And think about our utility bills, 70% higher, 70% higher than the national average because of the green energy scam, because of the excessive delivery charges, and because she even taxes your utility bill. She's been governor for 4 years, and our state is unaffordable, and now she's trying to deflect and blame everything on President Trump, which is complete nonsense. She's been governor for over 4 years, and she's been a monumental failure. People are miserable. They want somebody like me who will make them happy again, who will put New Yorkers first, won't spend $8 billion of their money, taxpayer dollars, on illegal migrants with free housing, free food, free transportation, a free cell phone. Can you imagine people who aren't New Yorkers, they're not Americans, they come to our state and automatically they get more, much more, than hardworking middle-class taxpayers get from their state government. It's bizarre, it's obscene, and it ends when I become governor.
You know, Bruce, one of the other big issues, obviously, in New York, and we've seen a lot, sadly, in the city of late, these anti-Semitic attacks. We're going to talk later on.
Yes, we have Karen Schneier on, Rabbi Schneier's daughter.
With Parkey Synagogue.
Yep. At 5:55, I think.
Yep, because they had a huge mob that showed up there last night, hostile mob, pushing, punching cops, screaming KKK to the cops, and Israel shouldn't exist. What would you do? It's like crickets, I feel like, from the current leadership.
It's not what would I do, it's what did I do when those same people, and we know they're the same people, they came to Nassau County, they tried to storm a synagogue, and they were met with my mounted unit of my police department, 1,000-pound horses, my canine unit with our beautiful German shepherds. We put tanks there. We had SWAT teams there. We had aviation in a helicopter monitoring everything.
It sounds like the team that went after Roger Stone's house.
We ended that mob and their thuggery in 15 minutes. It was over. I will not tolerate any of that stuff when I become governor. If Columbia University were taken over when I was governor, I would have ended it immediately. I don't need an invitation from Columbia University to come in. If there are students that are being harassed, if there's violence, if they're occupying private property, our police have every right to go in and end it. What happens is when you are tolerant of that kind of behavior, it just reinforces them and makes them more resolute. So I want to say one thing. I think the NYPD did a good job in quelling that mob scene at the synagogue. But again, it's another attack on Jews. It's anti-Semitism, and quite frankly, it's un-American.
Yeah, and it's dangerous. Rudy Washington.
No, I just wanted to say, Bruce, I've been trying to catch up with you. We need to talk.
You got it, Rudy.
And I was telling the judge, we litigated this under Rudy, and the results was in federal court. It was called sight and sound. So if somebody wanted to demonstrate against the church or synagogue or whatever, you could put them down the block as long as they could see it and as long as the people can hear them. This notion of 25 feet is insane. Absolutely insane.
And by the way, they were breaking through the barricades, you guys. So what's
you're
good
right
as
on
a
top
buffer?
of the people. You're right on top of the worshipers.
Right, and they were trying to get through too, Bruce. I mean, that was the problem. They had the barricades.
And people were blocked from entering.
Yeah, people
were
blocked.
By the way,
yes.
I just want to make this very, very clear to everybody who's listening out there. This isn't a Jewish problem alone. This is an American problem. When they come after the Jews are the appetizers. Next are the Christians, who are the main course. We live in a culture that's Judeo-Christian culture. That doesn't mean that we don't accept Muslims. That doesn't mean that we don't accept Hindus and Sikhs and people of other religions. But we are founded on Judeo-Christian principles. That's how our country was founded. That's how our economic system operates. That has made us the freest and most prosperous country in the world. And the people who are trying to go after the Jews are trying to break down the foundation and fabric of our country. This isn't about the Jews. It's about destroying America. The Jews first, the Christians next, take over the country and turn it into a totalitarian state. That's what this is all about.
Bruce, that's absolutely correct. We're talking about a threat, not just, look what's going on in Europe. Europe is being taken over. You have the total Islamization, radicalization of Western Europe. In 10, 15 years, you will not recognize Europe anymore. We have to stop it before it happens here in America.
Absolutely, Judge. You are 100% correct. And as I said, we have to make sure that people know that this isn't just about the Jews, that it's not a Jewish problem. It is an American problem. And we have to end it and make sure that it's eradicated and have no tolerance whatsoever for it. And they can call some of these acts free speech. It's not free speech when you engage in harassment, hate speech, and violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not free speech.
I agree.
Yeah, it's got to be. Listen, we have room for all religions in the United States of America. We welcome every religion, but we don't. But once a religion becomes violent against another one, they're not welcome.
Exactly. We have to.
That's the perfect way to say it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce, good luck.
I'm glad you spent 90 whole minutes.
Fight. I didn't know you had Rudy on there, too. Rudy, I'll give you a call. We'll get together soon, my friend.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Thank you,
God
Bruce.
bless you
Bruce,
all.
great to have you, Bruce.
Take care.
Thank you,
and
Bruce.
let's take a break. And when we come back,
we're going to talk to Senator John Husted and a whole bunch of others. He's, by the way, in that big Ohio race. And last night, Sherrod Brown won on the Democratic side.
And Vivek won on the governor's side.
Yes, that's a big race. Can't wait to talk with him.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, it's Wednesday night. What's going on in our country? What's going on in the world? What is today from the great state of Ohio? Senator John Husted, and he's a U.S. Senator, and he's running again this November. Senator, tell us, what the heck is going on in our world? I mean, are we going to have peace in Iran, or we're not going to have peace in Iran?
Well, I think we all hope so. I think we want to get the nuclear material and we want to get the Strait of Hormuz open, get gas prices down, and restore peace to the Middle East.
For the Republicans, you're a Republican. For the Republicans to win in November, it's got to be lower energy prices, lower gas prices, and lower interest rates. What the heck is going on with Powell, the chairman, who's supposed to be, his term is supposed to be over by May 15th, but he says, I feel like sticking around.
Well, you'd have to ask the exiting Fed chairman about that, but Kevin Warsh will get confirmed by the Senate. He will be the new Fed chairman, and I think that he will be an independent voice. But he also understands, I think he understands what we need to do at the Fed to get America on the right track financially.
Understood. Now, that's the problem we have domestically. Internationally, will there ever be peace in Iran? Any gut feeling on that? I mean, it seems like the Iranians, they'll make all the deals in the world, and 3 days later, you can't trust them.
Well, who's in charge in Iran is the real problem that we need to get to. But I think the president is really pushing aggressively towards getting a deal. They're trying to force Iran to the table. They're trying to basically give them a carrot and stick that if you open the Strait of Hormuz, if you make a deal on not developing a nuclear weapon, then you can have restoration of access to the financial markets and begin to sell your oil and begin to rebuild your nation. But they're a tough group to negotiate with right now because it's hard to know who's really in charge. But look, I'm going to be optimistic about this one, and I'm hopeful that we can get a deal, that we can get the Strait open, that we can get oil prices down, and that we can have an Iran for the first time in 47 years that can actually be part of a global order, so to speak, where they can work with us, that we can maybe restore peace to that part of the world. Let's just hope. I guess that's my hope and prayer. I'm going to be optimistic about it.
Understood. And Senator, the other thing I worry about is we saved Europe's behind many, many times in World War I, World War II. One of your colleagues from out west calls it World War XI. I don't know. Maybe she read the word too wrong. NATO. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about France's position. I'm worried about Germany's position. And I think that President Trump is really annoyed at Germany.
Well, he is. In Germany, look, the president has really forced change in Europe by demanding that the NATO nations step up and pay their fair share of defense. Many of those nations have decided to do that. Others of them have not. But NATO is the new era. NATO is, some of them are stepping up. They're more concerned, I think they're more concerned about Ukraine than they are about the situation in Iran. I guess that's the big issue, the big disagreement is that the Europeans want to make sure that they're fighting Russia in the Ukraine and not in Europe. And there's just been a lot of disagreement over those things. But Germany, France, the UK, they're going to have to carry more of their own weight.
Understood. What else do you want to tell the American people on what are we? Well, today's Wednesday already.
I'm from the heartland, man. I'm here in,
Middle America.
Show. Look, we have a big race. Sherrod Brown, former Senator Sherrod Brown against me, John Husted. And I've been the lieutenant governor of Ohio. I'm an Ohio guy. He's a Washington guy. He was in Washington for 32 years. I got appointed to the seat when J.D. Vance became vice president. And now we have the toughest race, probably one of the toughest races in the country, that will determine who controls the U.S. Senate. Your guy here, Chuck Schumer, is just announced he's going to spend $40 million against me in our race in Ohio. But we'll fight back. We'll win. Frankly, for working class people in places like Ohio, Sherrod Brown has been way too liberal in our state. I mean, let's face it, over the last 32 years, we've shipped jobs off to China. We've seen radical climate policies drive up the cost of electricity. We've seen the Obamacare policies make healthcare costs grow at twice the rate of inflation. Open borders have led to fentanyl, human trafficking, things like that in places like Ohio. Ohio had too much of Sherrod Brown. I think John Husted is the future for our state, and that's why I'm working hard to win.
Well, we want common sense to prevail, and it seems like you're the common sense guy versus your opponent.
Yeah, well, I'm just from normal old Ohio. I'm an Ohio kid, and but as I say, Ohio is important to the world because you can't do Made in America without Made in Ohio, because from the food you eat to the cars you drive to the trucks that deliver things, the airplanes that fly, the steel, the chips, the AI. I mean, we are at the heart of delivering all of those things to America. We make the things that people need to live and thrive, and I'm proud of my state and love representing Ohio.
Senator John Husted.
Husted, you got it.
Husted.
There we go.
Well, thank you for coming to our studios this Wednesday, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, that was a great discussion. And by the way, a big seat there, John. That's a big race. That one in Ohio is a big one. John Husted, that's a big one.
Well, we got to win Alaska. We got to win Maine.
Yep.
We got to win Ohio. We got to win North Carolina.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, biggies, real biggies. Well, joining us now, you guys, we have Congressman Ryan Zinke from the great state of Montana, which I love.
Former Secretary of Interior.
He's a smart guy. So, Congressman, boy, let's start with gas
Navy
prices.
SEAL.
Yeah, and by the way, not just any Navy SEAL. Am I right, Congressman, that you trained the Luttrells, that Marcus and obviously lone survivor?
Well, I was commander at SEAL Team 6, so, I've had an interesting career. Well, let's get to the issues, on gas. All right. A third to 20 to 30% of the world's energy is coming out of the strait. And in some places, it's 40 miles, and it's a 2-mile channel. So not a lot of room, and it is unacceptable that Iran, given what they are, and I think the conditions that President Trump set are absolutely just and defendable, and we all need to get behind it. Number one, they can't have a nuke. Can you imagine if Iran had a nuclear weapon today? They would hold the entire world at hostage, and we would have far less leverage and less options. So, and then two, they can't have material to make a nuclear weapon. We know they have it. We know how much they have it. Yeah, and all they're going to do is continue to refine it into weapons grade, and no. And lastly, they can't have an arsenal of evil. So those things, it took a president, a strong president, to actually do what should have been done a long time ago. Is you can't have the factory of terrorism, and no one should know about that more than New York. I mean, take a walk and look at the Twin Towers. You don't think for an instant if those guys had a nuclear weapon, it wouldn't be in a shipping container in New York Harbor? Of course it would.
So, Congressman, let me ask you, what do we need to do? You're a former Navy SEAL commander. You understand. Do you think we need to squeeze them even more, Carg Island, or do something with the Strait?
Well, this is where they're at. All right. They've lost their first echelon of leadership. They've lost their first and second echelon of military leadership. They have a distributed leadership right now in military, which the commanders have a lot of autonomy, which is not good if you're going to try to make a deal. They don't have an Air Force. They don't have a Navy. They don't have air defense. They don't have water, a drought, and they don't have money. Their currency is worthless. They got inflation that you can't even calculate it. So things aren't going magnificent in Iran, and I think Iran's objective is just save the regime. That's it.
Congressman, this is Rudy Washington. Do you have any idea the trepidation of Europe? They've demonstrated, Iran, that they could hit Europe with a nuclear device, and they cannot do what Israel does and swat them out the air. They would be completely at the mercy of these folks. So I don't understand why Europe hasn't really bulk up and come to the fight.
Well, yeah, all right. And Europe says they'll be there when the shooting stops.
Great.
No. They announced it today. France is sending their only aircraft carrier to the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, isn't that now? As point of a joint, they just said they're going to deploy their only aircraft carrier. Isn't that a classic?
It's a classic. All right. I mean, it's not even a full carrier, but we won't even go there.
It's a dinghy.
But at the end of the day, it's this. All right, is that Europe is weak. All right, we've watched them atrophy, shift all their support of the military, to social services, to immigration, and their energy policy. To think you're going to run Europe on a windmill, is fairy dust. So I tell you how important we are. We're the world's largest exporter of energy. And it wasn't like that. When I came in as secretary under Trump 45, we were 8.3 million barrels a day and declining. The Obama administration, the Biden administration was pushing this lie about clean energy. And the cleanest energy is made in America, by the way. So we went from 8.3 to 12.5 in 2 years. And Biden administration kind of held it at check, but there's no reason why this nation can't be at 18 million barrels a day. We don't get much from Saudi. We don't get a lot from the Straits of Hormuz. Not insignificant.
Congressman, Keystone would have been finished now, wouldn't it?
Okay, absolutely. But this is what I think the president ought to do. Is I think that, these oil companies, I know all of them. All right, and they're hardworking. I love them to death, but they make money at 60. A lot of them can make money at 45. Not a lot, but a lot. But at 80, the oil companies are making big buck.
At 100 and 110, they're making zillions.
So this is what I think the president ought to do. I think he ought to use his authority for 90 days and say, you know what? You're going to still keep the same production, but you're going to keep it at market price set by the United States government for 90 days. That's $80 a barrel.
There is no reason, WTI, American crude for North America, there's no reason that it should have gone up $30, $40 a barrel.
Well, it's a world commodity, right? Same as gold and price. But you know what? We're not beholden to other countries for our energy. And thank God that President Trump gave him the authority to do it in his first term. So, we're in a position we're far better off than Europe, far less exposed in Japan to our allies in the Pacific. But I tell you what, is that we're the ones that's standing and saying, you know what, that strait is international waters, and we will defend freedom of passage. We will defend freedom of navigation worldwide because we're the only Navy that can do it. And why Europe isn't behind us, you got to ask them, they're weak.
Yeah, I agree. Well, your thoughts, and John, I'm curious, your thoughts on what the congressman just said about a sort of a 90-day.
NATO, it could be done, but I don't think anybody's going to do it. With NATO, the other problem we have is NATO, because the United States is spending $1 trillion on defending Europe. And you look at Germany, it's only 90 billion. You look at France, it's only like 50 or 60 billion. I mean, why are we spending, if they're not going to be nice to us, why are we spending $1 trillion defending them?
Well, John, you remember when Ukraine and Russia kicked off, right? Germany sent everything they had available. They sent literally like a dozen Humvees and a couple Patriot missile batteries that weren't C-1. You know, their C-1 tanks at that time, Montana National Guard had more tanks than they did.
Wow.
And I love the Montana National Guard. I
do too. By the way, I do too. Congressman, you got to come back on soon. You're terrific. You got to come back soon.
You know your stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I you know what? I'm an American like you, and look, you know, people throw rocks at us all day long. There is no country that offers better opportunity, more opportunity, inconsistency than America for its people and for people that decide to come to America and want to make a great living. There's still opportunity. And there is, right? But you got these Madamis guys and communists that think that America is no longer relevant.
Well,
or
the Democratic Party,
democracy doesn't matter.
The Democratic Party has been taken over by the socialist wing. You know?
Yeah, it's
different. It's not communist. I mean, some of these guys are right down like Fidel Castro. They're protesting in support about Iran. And when I tell them, let me give you a
you're a Navy SEAL. You know that some of that money is coming from some of the foreign countries.
Yeah, absolutely. But let me give you a quote from Khomeini: "Is that young women in custody should be raped before they are executed, so they don't go to heaven." This is the Khomeini regime.
Yeah, they're fanatics.
It's shocking that people are protesting for that.
It's
really?
Disgusting. It's disgusting, Congressman. We're with you. We love this country.
We have to take a break.
Yeah,
and we'll talk to you again real soon.
You got to join us soon.
Right,
we
guys,
love you.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you
bless.
very much.
And we got the top news of the day, sponsored by Goya Foods, and I love those Goya beans, along with the extra virgin Goya olive oil I put on top of those beans.
Wow, he's like Julia Child.
I really feel I eat that
I
stuff.
know, it's good, and you
It's
know how to
healthy
make
for
it.
you.
And you know how to make it. I love it.
It's the top news of the day, sponsored by Goya. Here's Rita Cosby.
Well, now that our mouths are watering after that one, because boy, Goya is the best. And here are the top headlines, guys. Iran says it's reviewing a U.S. plan to end the war. Iran's foreign ministry is confirming that the government is reviewing a plan, a reported one-page memorandum of understanding that sets a framework to end the war and start negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. We'll keep you posted where that goes. And in the media world, you guys, a big loss today. Media titan Ted Turner is dead at the age of 87. He founded, of course, CNN in 1980, and he's credited, of course, for starting the 24-hour cable news cycle. And obviously, a big media giant. And everybody, when we come back, we're going to talk to Peter Schweizer. We talked about the protest, John, with the congressman. So who's backing them? Let's get the skinny from Peter Schweizer.
You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby, and joining us now is the great investigative journalist Peter Schweizer. And Peter, boy, there is so much information about all these crazy protests across the country. And, who's funding them? Who's behind it? And there's a lot of names that kind of keep coming up. You know these people better than anybody. Fill us in.
Yeah. So what I would emphasize to people is, there are protests taking place, and that's something that happens in the United States all the time. But there's a foreign component to this. We have foreign countries, and we have individuals overseas that want to see these kinds of violent protests. So if you look at China, for example, you've got this American billionaire named Roy Singham. He sold his business, ThoughtWorks, to a private equity firm. That private equity firm is partly owned by the Chinese Sovereign Wealth Fund, so that's where the money came from. He, after he sold the business, moved to Shanghai, and he's lived in China ever since. He's very left-wing, describes himself as a Maoist. He has poured more than $130 million into left-wing radical groups in New York and elsewhere. And when you see those signs, they're very uniform. He's the one that is funding those activities and those organizations. I would also look south of the border. The recent May Day protests One of the people that in the weeks before that was telling people, particularly urging Hispanics to go out and protest, was AMLO, Lopez Obrador, the former president of Mexico. He is the mentor of the current president, Sheinbaum. He has been telling Hispanics, go out on the streets, fight the Republicans, fight Trump, and show them how angry you are about the policies that he is carrying out. So you've got foreign meddling, certainly when it comes to these street protests.
Peter, I read your latest book, and I was surprised to hear that. What was the number? 50 consulates around the country in every state, whereas England only has like 4 across the country?
That's right, John. They have 53. Mexico has 53 consulates in the United States. They have 4 alone just in the state of Arizona.
Well, tell people why they're doing this, because people don't understand. They're trying to reclaim California. Yeah,
and that's what they tell us, by the way. It's not you and me, John, claiming this.
This is Rudy.
Oh, hey, sorry about that.
We try to keep you on your toes, Peter.
You do. Well, it's all the smart conversation. I can't distinguish it. No, it's so vital for people to understand that Mexico has these consulates around the country, and they do some of those stuff that consulates are supposed to do, although a lot of that now happens online, getting visa approvals and things. What they're doing is they're getting involved in our protests, in our elections. As I lay out in the book, we know that the consulate in Minneapolis or St. Paul up in the Twin Cities was involved in those violent anti-ICE protests. We know that the consulate in Los Angeles was involved in the riots last year over protests. And we know that one of those consulates in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in 2024 at the end of May, held a meeting with left-wing and Democrat political activists. And the conversation, according to the transcript we have, included, we turned California from red to blue, we turned Arizona from red to blue. How do we turn other states from red to blue? This is a meeting with more than a dozen Mexican diplomats having this conversation with one political party in the United States. Totally inappropriate. They should not be doing it.
Yeah, obviously, they're supposed to be apolitical. Judge Weinberg.
Peter, good to talk to you again. And there's another component to this, too. You have this culture of political violence where they glorify it. So you have this Mangione character who assassinates a businessman, a family man, wipes out the family's father and husband because he objects to his political stance or his economic stance. And then what you have spinning off of that is you have this crazy guy in California who set the blaze afire in the Palisades where 12 people lost their lives and you had about $160 billion worth of property loss. And they keep saying property loss is not a big deal. Why are you making a big event out of this? People have lost their homes and their livelihoods.
Yeah, no, you're right, Judge. I mean, this is the problem with rhetoric. So rhetoric is not violence, but rhetoric can encourage violence, especially when you code it in such moralistic, outrageous terms. So if you call a political leader like our current president, Adolf Hitler, somebody out there who's feeling, lonely, who's feeling isolated, thinks to themselves, it's not a big leap at all. If I want to be a hero, who doesn't want to take out Hitler? Who shouldn't take out Hitler? Dietrich Bonhoeffer tried to kill Hitler, and he's remembered as a hero. So when they throw around these exaggerated terms, it creates in the minds of people that, let's just say, have some emotional problems, feel isolated. It creates an incentive structure for them to say, I can turn my life around and be remembered as a hero if I take this violent action, whether it's trying to kill the president, whether it's trying to kill somebody with a corporation. If you say corporations are evil and destroy people, again, you're a hero if you take them out. It's a sick incentive system, and this rhetoric has to stop.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Peter, please keep us posted.
Peter.
You're the best on this stuff, and we love having you, Peter.
Great to be on with you always. Thanks.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And now let's go to some breaking news about that cruise ship.
Breaking news, WABC.
This is incredible. A report that there are 23 hantavirus cruise passengers who returned home to all corners of the world before the word got out that there were some very sick and to the point where people died on that ship, including returning some people to the U.S. So what is going on? Well, joining us now is Dr. Mark Siegel. Dr. Siegel, how scary is this virus? I'm reading somewhere it's up to 35 to 40% mortality potential. That's enormous.
Well, it's the Andes strain, and it's been around for a long time. To calm people's nerves on this, there's only been 890 cases in the United States over the past 30 years. It's a huge problem worldwide. That's of the whole hantavirus. The Andes strain, which comes from Argentina and this area where the ship came from, is much more deadly, and 40% death rate is right because of the pulmonary. It causes a severe lung infection. But here's the good news about this. It's not going to get any worse because even though everyone in the media is going around saying that it spreads human to human, that's very difficult to do and rare. And that's something that they studied very carefully in the New England Journal of Medicine a few years ago. And that's, of course, being left out of all the media reports. I am not concerned about this taking off and becoming anything really major.
Oh, that's good to hear. So now what about these people who got off the ship, and how do you control the ones that are still on the ship?
What you have to do in this situation is you have to quarantine people that may have been exposed to it, and you have to isolate people who have had it. The problem with a cruise ship is that cruise ships in general are petri dishes, and that's why we see norovirus outbreaks all the time. So if you isolate the people that have it, you pray for the best for them, and you don't let people out into the general community. Let's keep in mind, Rita, that this virus comes from rodents. It's rodents that pass this around. So if that's where, you obviously you see rats on the ship, right? And you see mice out in the rural areas of the world. That's where you get it from. You need that vector to spread it. So we're not going to see a major problem from this as long as we isolate the people who are sick. The biggest problem is the fear that it creates.
Well, and it certainly is creating a lot of fear. I'm so glad you're calming us down because we needed that. Dr. Siegel, we love you. Thank you for giving us an update and your words of wisdom.
I'm much more worried about Mom Donnie than I am about the hantavirus.
Oh, well.
we all are, Doctor.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Thanks, Doctor. We love you. Thank you very much. And you guys, let's go back to Iran because maybe we're very close to a deal. Or if not, President Trump said the bombing will absolutely start. And joining us now is retired U.S. Marine Corps Major General. He's also CEO of the Punaro Group, General Arnold Punaro. It's great to have you on, General, and fill us in on what you think could happen next. We all sort of feel like the Iranians are just kind of jerking everybody around. Can we trust them? And if not, what do you think could happen militarily very soon?
Well, Rita, John, great to be with you. And I'd go back when you say, can you trust them? What Ronald Reagan would answer that question and the way we should answer it today dealing with Iran, trust but verify. So anything that gets put on a piece of paper, obviously in these kind of agreements, you want to read the fine print and you've got to have a very robust verification process to make sure they're living up to the agreement. I think the president has been correct in keeping maximum pressure on the Iranians militarily, economically, and diplomatically. And it appears that, the diplomatic track may be opening up a little bit, but the president's also made it very clear if they don't agree to the key terms, which are no nuclear weapon, no use of their enriched uranium, no rebuilding of a nuclear, program, and also you've got to basically have no control by Iran of the Straits of Hormuz, setting a precedent that no country can control an international waterway because we wouldn't want China to assert control of the South China Sea. So the president has put down two very strong markers. I'm not privy, obviously, to the status of the actual negotiations, and the president, I think, is being very careful in what he's saying about it. And so, as in any kind of diplomatic agreement, you want to see the fine print. And so, whether the Iranians are negotiating in good faith or not, we'll know that, I think, pretty soon. Over.
Yeah, you know what, General, and I love that. I love the military talk. That's great. It's, General, also,
I think, General, I think this is John Catsimatidis. I think that regardless of what they're doing, stall, and hope that they're getting a Democratic administration in November.
Well, I don't think they can hold their breath that long, to be candid with you. I don't think the president's been very clear. And being honest, he's put maximum pressure on them militarily. And, he can go back to major combat operations at a moment's notice. Our military is poised at the ready. We also have the option of going to their economic center of gravity, which is Carg Island, and our Marine Expeditionary Units with the 82nd Airborne, we could take that island. Yes, it would have some risk, but also would make the economic pressure on them even worse. And I think that's what's got them back to the negotiating table. Certainly, you're right. I don't trust them. Yep. The president doesn't trust them. But on the other hand, you've got to give diplomacy an opportunity to see if it'll go anywhere.
No, we agree there. We agree.
We agree. But, General, I said this the moment the whole thing started, that you were dealing with a hydra, a two-headed animal, where you have the Islamists and you have the people. I don't want to say moderate, but the people. And these IRG, they don't care about their people. They can starve. They don't care, as long as they're eating. And they believe they've been raised on this. I'm going to heaven with 70 virgins or whatever. And you can't trust them, So I don't know what we're doing, but I accept the fact I don't have the briefings. I don't see all of the pieces, but this makes no sense to me. We should have wiped out the IRG and those little speedboats. We know who the people troublemakers are.
Is still there, and I think if they don't make progress at the negotiating table, that's the next step, because you're right. I mean, the Ayatollahs are religious fanatics. Their religion tells them that, suffering and pain is part of their reward. And so the reason the president is correct about saying there's an imminent threat, these crazy people, the Ayatollahs, they would use a nuclear weapon.
Exactly.
We have mutually assured destruction with Russia and China, our other adversaries that have nuclear weapons, because they know if they were to use them on us, that we would basically retaliate by wiping their countries out. So, but the Ayatollahs, they don't think like that. They're not sane. And so I don't trust them. I don't think our military trusts them. And I think we reserve plenty of military options if this thing doesn't get sorted out on the diplomatic track in the very near future. They're losing a lot of money. And the Ayatollahs, they may be religious fanatics, but also they do believe in getting the resources. So I hope that, the negotiating track will pan out, but it can't be a no deal is better than a bad deal or a mediocre deal.
General, before I let you go, we just have about a minute or so left. Sure. I want to ask you also about the people of Iran. What's being done to get them emboldened or to get weapons into their hands for the right moment, whenever that is?
Rita, I don't think anything's happening on that front right now, and I think that would be extremely difficult. And because of, as John brought up, unfortunately, the Republican Guard, the IRGC, retains tremendous capability against their own population. So I don't think, frankly, right now that we see that. Certainly in the military, we don't see that as a viable option in terms of trying to arm their population and trying to incite them to revolt. And as many people have said, they've killed their own people by tens of thousands. So I think the people are just keeping their head down right now.
Yeah, I agree, and waiting for the right moment. And obviously, the other stuff has to be settled first here, as we're seeing. General Arnold Punaro, it's great to have you here on Katz and Cosby. We love having you on. Thank you so much.
Such a privilege.
Thank you very much. And you guys, we're going to take a break, and then we are going to talk to Karen Schneier, because it was her synagogue, her and her dad's synagogue, Park East Synagogue, which had these horrible pro-Hamas protesters outside. And she's going to be joining us after the break.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, an attack on the east side of Manhattan. Well, the same synagogue that was attacked before. Rabbi Arthur Schneier, and with us today is his daughter, Karen Schneier. Well, Karen, give us and tell us what the heck is going on.
Well, John, let's start with our New York Police Department. Let's commend them and Commissioner Tisch for maintaining control. What they did was exemplary, absolutely exemplary. And these are shameful, misinformed, mob mentality paid protesters who sympathize with Hamas and Hezbollah, who are known terrorists. And they need to learn their history, John. They need to learn it correctly, including our misinformed fake news journalists. There is no stolen land. There is no stolen land, right? And, I just came back from a terrific 3-day trip to D.C. an hour ago. I was at the DOJ yesterday, and I spent some incredible time with some pro-Israeli Christians and Jewish leaders, and everybody's just horrified by this unabashed anti-Semitic rhetoric.
Karen,
you noticed.
But you know what was scary, Karen? They were pushing too. Like this mob was pushing cops, and it was scary to watch.
Yeah. Okay, but did you notice? And this is consistent with this mob that these cowards cover their faces. They constantly cover their faces. And you know why? Because these protesters, they need to beware. Because DOJ will prosecute and find those people who intimidate people of faith and attack houses of worship. That's why they cover their faces, because they're cowards. They are absolute cowards.
See, if these people are being paid, one of our agencies, whether it's the FBI or whoever, I've seen it in the movies. You got to get somebody, and somebody's going to tell who's paying them.
Well, take off the mask. Let's see who those people are. Let's see who the people are, John. And, look at the First Amendment, right, of our blessed country. In the First Amendment, we treat religious liberties and the ability to have freedom of speech equally. But freedom of speech does not equal freedom of hate speech. It does not equal the freedom to intimidate people of faith from visiting, from congregating, from learning or worshiping in their house of worship in the United States. That's not what freedom of speech means.
Karen, we talked to Representative Zinke before, and I said to them, all religions are welcomed in the United States of America. All religions are welcome in the United States of America. But once a religion, any group, whether it's a group of a religion, whether it's goes against another religion, they're not welcome. All religions are welcome to live in peace and worship in the way they want to worship.
My dad has a great expression, John. I'm sure you've heard it. A crime committed in the name of religion is the biggest crime against religion.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Correct. Well, I'm glad everybody's safe there, Karen. Thank God.
People can worship in this country as they please. That is the foundation of the United States of America. Just learn to respect each other, and that's it.
Well, we talk about your dad. You got to tell he was 96 a few weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. And I called him and wished him a happy birthday. How is he?
He's incredible. He's really incredible. I think for somebody who watched their synagogue burn to the ground in Vienna, these are not pleasant images, for him to see, for him to watch. But I know that he thanks God every day he lives in the United States of America, and where our forces, police departments, stand behind truth. And so I think NYPD, as hard of a night as it was, they did a phenomenal job. And here's a news flash, John.
Go ahead.
Let these mobs, let them keep protesting, right? Because they ultimately they will be prosecuted ultimately, and they are not going to intimidate anybody. The Jewish people are not going anywhere, right? The state of Israel is not going anywhere. And so if they think these intimidation tactics will work, it actually just makes our community stronger.
Bravo.
Karen Steyer, and thank you so much for coming on today, and God bless America, and may freedom ring, and may be freedom for all religions in the United States of America. Thank you so much. And what do we all stand for?
Truth, justice, and
The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.